Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Clearwater County's regular council meeting of November 28th, 2023. All public hearings are live streamed and recorded. Any verbal or written information provided may be included in public documents as per the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, FOIP 41. And as we have, I'll call the meeting to order at 9:02. And looking at the agenda in front of us, any additions? And if not, can I get a motion, please? Thank you, Councillor Lougheed. Good. The minutes of the November 14th meeting, council meeting. Any errors or omissions? Pardon me? Oh, sorry. Vote for the adoption of the agenda, please. All those in favor? Thank you. Minutes of the regular council meeting of November 14th. Any errors or omissions? If not, a motion to adopt. Thank you, Councillor Cermak. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. So going on to 4.1, we have a public hearing. So I'll call the meeting to order at 9:03. Everyone present shall register. All persons wishing to speak shall be recognized by the chair. Every presenter, when told it is their turn, shall identify themselves and their organization, if any, and whether they are in favor of or opposed by the bylaw. If a presenter becomes repetitive, they may be limited by the chair. If a presenter or member of the audience becomes disrespectful, they may be asked to leave by the chair. No outside recording devices are permitted. We ask that cell phones be turned off or put on silent mode. Breaks within the hearing will be called at the chairman's discretion. First, the development officer will explain the background of the application. Then the applicant will be invited to outline the reasons for the application. At any time, the council members may have the opportunity to ask questions. Any submissions received from other agencies will be read out loud. Then anyone who is present and whom is in favor of the application will be asked to submit his or her presentation. Following this, comments will be requested from anyone who is opposed to the application. The applicant will have the last word and thus respond to any issues previously raised. All right, so to start things off, I will turn it across to Mr. Conley, planning intern, to outline the background of this application. Please.
Thank you, Reeve. Robert McIntosh currently holds title to Southwest 337 of 6, containing 156.3 acres. Brianna McIntosh, with the support of the landowner, Robert McIntosh, has made application for a land use amendment within Southwest 337 of 6. The subject land is designated agriculture district within Clearwater County's land use bylaw. It is located approximately 6 kilometers north of the village of Caroline. The applicant is proposing to redesignate 7 acres located in the southeast corner of the quarter section from the A district to the CRA district. The remaining 149 acres of the balance of the quarter section will remain under the A district. The proposed 7-acre parcel is developed with a residence and an ancillary building. The balance of the quarter section is developed with a residence and various ancillary buildings in the central portion adjacent to the east property boundary. Legal and physical access can be obtained to the proposed parcel and the balance of the quarter section off Range Road 6-2A adjacent to the east property boundary and off Township Road 37-0 adjacent to the south property boundary. The landowner currently resides on the subject property in the yard site in the east central portion of the quarter section. There is also a first parcel out in the northeast corner of the quarter section. Pending the outcome of the land use amendment, the applicant, on behalf of the landowner, will proceed with an application to subdivide the 7-acre CRA parcel to create separate title and become the third title within the quarter section. The proposed parcel is for the landowner's sister and her child. The proposed land use amendment and subsequent subdivision would provide the applicant and the landowner to farm on these lands with their children and provide an opportunity for the applicant to own an acreage of her own. Surrounding land uses are agriculture and residential. Planning direction, MDP policy 6.2.3, Clearwater County shall require that each parcel to be approved for a residential development has legal access, has a minimum of 1 acre developable space, has private septic and water systems, has a water table at a depth of at least 2 meters unless a qualified professional can demonstrate. MDP policy 10.2.1 in the quarter section designated agriculture district. The maximum number of titled parcels that are allowed to be created shall be 2. This includes 1 additional parcel and the balance of the remainder quarter section. MDP policy 10.2.2, notwithstanding 10.2.1, Clearwater County may approve 1 additional subdivision in the quarter section for residential or non-residential use, subject to the proposed parcel being redesignated. MDP policy 10.2.10, location of parcels. The preferred location of new residential parcels shall be any portion of the quarter section that is separated from the balance of the quarter section by a fragmented feature. The portion of the land has the lowest agricultural capability. Locations in the quarter sections that use the least amount of cultivated land or land cleared for pasture. MDP policy 14.2, municipal reserves. As a condition of subdivision approval, Clearwater County shall require that the full 10% of developable lands be dedicated as municipal reserve as provided for in the MGA. MDP policy 14.2.11, municipal reserves shall be taken in as cash in lieu. And then Clearwater County's land use bylaw section 13.4, CRA district. The general purpose of this district is to accommodate and regulate traditional county residential agriculture parcels with minor agricultural pursuits. The acceptable lot size is up to 7 acres if it's a developable spot. As per section 10.2.4, a parcel that includes all or a portion of an existing farmstead, the size may be up to 7 acres unless otherwise deemed necessary. The applicant has indicated that 7 acres are sufficient. The impacts of this proposal on adjacent agricultural activities and residential uses are low. Should this proposal and subsequent subdivision be approved, the parcel would align with MDP policy 10.2.2 as the third title within the quarter section. The proposed parcel meets the minimum requirement of 1 acre of developable space as per MDP policy 6.2.3. At the regular council meeting held on October 10th, council reviewed and gave first reading to bylaw 1168/23. As required by legislation, notice of today's public hearing was advertised in the local newspapers, and comments were invited from adjacent landowners and referral agencies. Upon consideration of the representations made at the public hearing, council will consider whether or not to grant second and third readings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I guess I'm gonna just roll back and we're gonna quickly do introductions. I forgot to do that. So anyways, I'll start on my left for introductions, please.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, Sydney Graham, Councillor for Division 2.
Good morning, Daryl Lougheed, Councillor Division 3.
Welcome, Jenny Melhoff, Councillor for Division 1.
Hello, Michelle Swanson, Division 7, Councillor in Reeve.
Good morning, Jordan Northcott, Division 4, Councillor.
Good morning, Neil Ratcliffe, Division 5 Councillor.
Welcome, Brian Cermak, Councillor for Division 6.
Good morning, Murray Hagan, Director of Corporate Services.
Good morning, Kim Gillam, Manager of Planning and Development.
Good morning, Rick Evans, Yale.
Good morning, Austin Conley, planning intern.
I'm Desiree Olson. I'm here on behalf of Brianna McIntosh. She is a little bit lost at the moment, but should be here in a minute.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, so with the background that has just been presented to us, I'm going to ask council if you have any questions for the development officer. Seeing none, I'm going to ask the development officer if there's been any comments received from agencies.
The Municipal Planning Commission toured and reviewed the application on November 15th, 2023. MPC recommends that council favorably consider granting second and third readings of bylaw 1168/23 for land use amendment application 20/23. The MPC provided the following reasons for their decision. The proposed parcel is low-quality farmland with a number 9 rating, and the proposed parcel is an existing property. Blue Mountain Power Co-op has no objection, and they wanted us to say that they are a member-owned nonprofit distribution wire service in the area. Alberta Health Services had no objection. Clearwater County Public Works Operations have no objections. Clearwater County Public Works Infrastructure has no objections. However, they request a 5.18 meter road widening caveat be taken along the southwest and east sides of the quarter section. And that is all I've received.
Thank you so much. All right, being as how our applicant is not here yet, at this moment, we invite the applicant to speak to the proposal and any comments. Would you be able to do that at this point in time, or should we wait? You can? Very good. I'll invite you to speak then to the proposal.
So Brianna moved her house on in 2017, and we encouraged her with the thought that we'd be able to possibly subdivide one day. If not, we're all family, so. But she has some horses and some ducks, and just really looking forward to having her own little property she can call her own.
Thank you so much. If there's anyone in favor of the public that would like to come forward and speak in favor of the application, is there anyone from the public wishing to come forward and speak favor of the application? Seeing none, I'm now going to ask the development officer if there were any written submissions in favor of the request.
No written submissions were received.
Thank you. If there was anyone, I'm now going to invite comments from any member of the public wishing to speak in opposition of the application. Again, if there's any member of the public wishing to speak against or in opposition of the application. Seeing none, were there any written submissions received?
No, none were received.
None were received. Thank you so much. So I will now invite the applicant for any final remarks.
Sorry, I've
No.
never done this. Yeah, no, I think that she is hoping you guys decide it can go through and everything, and be very exciting for all of us.
Thank you so much. All right, I will close the hearing at 9:14, and no motions will be entertained at this time. Moving ahead in our agenda, we will go to 5.1. And again, I will pass it back to Mr. Connolly.
The purpose of bylaw number 1168/23 is to amend Clearwater County's land use bylaw to redesignate approximately 7 acres within Southwest 337 of 6 from the agriculture district to the country residence agriculture district. Pending the outcome of the land use amendment, the applicants plan to proceed with the subdivision application to create separate title to the proposed CRA parcel. Please refer to the documents attached to the public hearing council agenda item for further details on this application. At the regular council meeting held on October 10th, council reviewed and gave first reading to bylaw number 1168/23. Upon considerations of the representation made at today's public hearing, council will consider whether or not to grant second and third readings to this bylaw. Staff is recommending that council consider granting second and third readings to bylaw number 1168/23 for land use amendment 20/23. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, looking for discussion, Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. Just have a question for the development officer. Our typical maximum size for this sort of acreage is only 5 acres. What additional amenities or services had to be included to make this 7 acres?
This is a developed parcel, and in the land use bylaw, if your parcel is developed, you can have up to 7 acres.
All right, thank you.
Any further comments, discussion? Looking for a motion for second reading. Deputy Reeve Malhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I would happily make the motion on second reading. I've had the opportunity to see this application several times, whether it be at this table or at the MPC table. I agree with MPC saying that the provincial ag rating on this particular piece is 9, so quite low on the actual ag index rating. It's existing. We're not taking land out of farm production. It's already existing. So I would be happy to make the motion for second reading.
Thank you. Any discussion on second reading? Councillor Northcott.
For the Municipal Planning Commission, did they list any reasons on the impacts for the future, like negative impacts?
No, they did not.
Okay. And does the Municipal Planning Commission, I think it's Councillor Lahi, Deputy Reeve Malhoff, and Councillor Ratcliffe that currently sit on there, but is there a trend, like do most parcels, titles, like additional acreages and stuff, do they get approved, or what's the percentage-wise roughly of things that get approved for subdivision of land?
I'm not sure of that number.
Okay, and one last question.
You bet.
How many titles, like how many additional titles or acreages have been created in 2023?
I can't speak to that.
So I'll go to Ms. Gillum first.
We have had a total of 25 land use amendments in like applications in 2023, including some where the rezoning of an existing parcel of land to a different zoning, including Dawson's one coming up next, or the Leslieville ones for rezoning. So those are existing parcels. So the creation of like a new parcel or like a second title out would probably be in the range of I'd say maybe 18.
So
I could double check, but.
Yes, I think I've seen 9 just in the Western Star, just in the last edition, it's 9. So I don't know if,
9 subdivisions?
yeah.
I could double check that, but
It was including first parcels, rezoned land, it was like all of them combined. But just in one edition of the Western Star.
yeah, so I was just speaking to the land use amendment applications for second titles. As for subdivisions, I don't know the total amount for first parcel outs this year outside of that.
That was my question, the total number of
Okay.
acreages, first parcels, second parcels, third parcels.
I'd have to check our files to know. I don't know that number off the top of my head.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Perhaps that's a question when we have a report at some point in time, maybe in early 2024, to give a synopsis of the 2023 year, if that would work.
That is in our plan. We've been working with Christine. We do intend to bring forward, I think we actually plan to bring it more than once a year. The numbers of where we're at for different applications, bringing forward a report, we're just trying to nail that down, but we do plan to bring reports forward for numbers throughout the year.
Thank you so much. And now at the topic at hand, when we're talking about this particular parcel out, Councillor Ratcliffe. Second readings on the floor, sorry.
Thank you, Reeve. I do know that MPC's days have been very full. That's the Municipal Planning Commission with these changes. But for the reasons already stated, I will be supporting this motion.
Thank you. All right, second reading, motion by Deputy Reeve Malhoff. I will call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Looking for a motion for third reading. Councillor Graham, please.
I will move I will move third reading.
Thank you. Councillor Northcott.
Just requesting a recorded vote.
A recorded vote, please, by Councillor Northcott. All right, call for third reading, please. All those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Thank you so much. Venus, are we ready to go with our next public hearing? They're here? Very good. All right. So our next public hearing is scheduled for 9:30, but the applicants are here, so we will start earlier.
The public is not.
Oh, the public is not here.
Have another 10 minutes.
For sure. I guess I look across to Mr. Emmons. Would it be appropriate to start if the applicants are here, or should we wait the 10 minutes to ensure that the public is here?
I would recommend that we could proceed.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. So the public hearing, that is item 4.2. I will call the meeting to order at 9:22. This public hearing. I'm now going to outline the process to be used. So everyone present shall register. All persons wishing to speak shall be recognized by the chair. Every presenter, when told it is their turn, shall identify themselves and their organization, if any, and whether they are in favor of or opposed to the bylaw. If a presenter becomes repetitive, they may be limited by the chair. If a presenter or member of the audience becomes disrespectful, they may be asked to leave by the chair. No outside recording devices will be permitted. We ask that cell phones be turned off or put on silent mode. Breaks within the hearing will be called at the chairman's discretion. First, the development officer will explain the background of the application. Then the applicant will be invited to outline reasons for their application. At any time, council members have the opportunity to ask questions. Any submissions received from other agencies will be read out. Then anyone who is present and whom is in favor of the application will be asked to submit his or her presentation. Following this, comments will be requested from anyone who is opposed to the application. The applicant will have the last word and thus respond to any issues raised previously. So before I turn the mic over to the staff, can we take a moment to do our introductions? And I'll start on my left, please.
Good morning, Sydney Graham, Counselor for Division 2.
Good morning, Daryl Lougheed, Counselor, Division 3.
Welcome Jenny Melhoff, Counselor for Division 1.
Good morning, Michelle Swanson, Division 7 Counselor in Reeve.
Good morning, Jordan Northcott, Division 4 Counselor.
Welcome, Neil Ratcliffe, Division 5 Counselor.
Welcome, Brian Cermak, Counselor for Division 6.
Good morning, Murray Hagan, Director of Corporate Services.
Good morning, Kim Gillam, Manager of Planning.
Good morning, Rick Emmons, CAO.
Good morning, Dawson Conley, Planning Intern.
Good morning, John Bugby, owner of the parcel in question that we're rezoning.
Eileen Bugby, I'm co-owner of the parcel.
Thank you so much. So now I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Conley, the planning intern, to outline the background of this application, please.
Thank you, Reeve. John and Eileen Bugby have made application to amend the land use bylaw on Plan 102-2159, Block 1, Lot 6, containing 3.5 acres. The subject land is currently designated RF within Clearwater County's land use bylaw. It is located adjacent to Highway 591, approximately 27 kilometers southwest of the village of Caroline. The applicants are proposing to redesignate the subject property from RF back to the Country Residential District. The property was rezoned from CR to RF in January of 2020. This was due to a potential buyer wanting to operate a campground. However, that did not go through, therefore the owners are proposing to rezone back to CR so that they can sell the property with the restrictive covenant in place. Access to the property can be achieved from Boundary Boulevard adjacent to the north property boundary. MDP Policy 14.2.4 states that Clearwater County shall implement policies of the MDP when making decisions on any proposed redesignation, subdivision, or development application. Section 12.2 of the land use bylaw states that if the subdivision or development for which the land was redesignated does not occur within 1 year of the date of passage of the bylaw that redesignated the land, council may initiate a bylaw to redesignate the land back to its former district. Section 13.4 states that the purpose of the Country Residence District is to accommodate and regulate traditional country residential parcels while not permitting any agricultural pursuits. The subject property was redesignated for the operation of a campground that did not proceed, and the current landowners have no intention of pursuing a venture as such at this time. Additionally, the restrictive covenant in place, a campground would not be able to operate. The landowners who developed the subdivision would like to see residential development on the property and be able to move on from it. At the regular council meeting held on October 10th, council reviewed and gave first reading to Bylaw 1169/23. As required by legislation, notice of today's public hearing was advertised in the local newspapers, and comments were invited from adjacent landowners and referral agencies. Upon considerations of the representations made at the public hearing, council will consider whether or not to grant second and third readings to Bylaw 1169/23. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Now I'm going to ask council if you have any questions for the development officer. I do. I have one question in regards to when was that first zoned RF?
In January of 2020.
2020. Thank you. Excellent. Any comments received from agencies, from referral agencies, sorry?
Municipal Planning Commission reviewed the application on November 15th. MPC recommends that council favorably consider granting second and third readings of Bylaw 1169/23 for Land Use Amendment Application 21/23. The MPC discussed the expiration of the previous land use amendment due to the development permit not proceeding. MPC provided the following reason for their decision. The proposed parcel is being reverted back to its original district as the development permit did not proceed. Rocky Gas Co-op has no objections. However, they wanted us to mention their standard note. For information on the installation of natural gas services, please contact Rocky Gas Co-op, your nonprofit member-owned provider. Fortis Alberta has no objections. AHS has no objections. Blue Mountain Power Co-op requires a utility right-of-way on the existing parcel. I have emailed them asking for clarification since this is already a subdivided parcel. They are the member-owned nonprofit distribution wire service for all services in this area. Alberta Transportation has no objection, and Clearwater County Public Works, Operations, and Infrastructure have no objections.
Thank you. I will now invite the applicant to speak to your proposal and add any comments to support your request or respond to any comments.
Thank you. Excuse me, not really. The background of that is that that's one parcel of a 9-parcel subdivision that we did approximately 14 years ago. All of the parcels were zoned as country residential at that time, and so this parcel, as you might see on the map, is adjacent to I believe that application is coming up, but it's highway commercial, but I believe that they're wanting to change that to recreation facility as well. So this buyer that got it changed to recreation facility had plans to develop that whole part into one campground, which didn't go through. He was a little unscrupulous, I have heard, in saying that we just thought it would be much easier with the restrictive covenants to have it rezoned back to CR and proceed with the sale of we still have 3 others in the original plan to sell, and so that's our history and reasoning behind it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will now invite any member of the public wishing to speak in favor of the application. Any member of the public wishing to speak in favor of the application? Seeing none, were there any written submissions in favor of the request?
No written submissions were received.
Thank you. Now looking to see if any member of the public wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Seeing none, were there any written submissions opposing the request?
None were received.
None were received. Now I'm going to ask the applicant if you have any final remarks.
No, I thank you to Dawson and the planning department. They've been very cooperative. Council has been cooperative, and all I can say is thank you.
Thank you. So with that, I'll close the hearing at 9:32, and no motions will be entertained at this time. So then moving on in the agenda to 5.2.
Thanks, Dawson.
We have the consideration of second and third readings for this bylaw 116923. I'll turn the floor back to Mr. Connolly.
The purpose of bylaw number 1169/23 is to amend Clearwater County's land use bylaw to redesignate Plan 1022159 Block 1 Lot 6 from the RF district to the CR district. Pending the outcome of the land use amendment, the applicants plan to sell the lot for residential development. Please refer to the documents attached to the public hearing council agenda item for further details. At the regular council meeting held on October 10th, council reviewed and gave first reading to bylaw 1169/23. Upon consideration of the representation made at today's public hearing, council will consider whether or not to grant second and third readings. Staff is recommending that council consider granting second and third readings to bylaw number 1169/23 for land use amendment application 2123. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll open it up to discussions and motions. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. This was done, there was, I believe that the applicant talked about nine parcels were made in 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Is there an outline plan or an ASP that goes along with this that we need to follow, or is that, was that not part of the MDP in the day? Because that's now a rule that anything over 3 must have an outline plan or an ASP. Is there one for this?
Ms. Gillen?
I don't believe there is for one in this area, but I think it was done prior to the 2010 MDP. I think it was done before I started.
Okay.
I could double check, but I believe it was created prior to me joining the county, and the MDP was done when I started.
Sounds good, thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Ratcliffe?
Thank you, Reeve. This application is simply to restore the rating back to what it was before a project that hasn't gone ahead. I think it's appropriate that we approve it. So I move that council grant third reading to bylaw 1169/23.
Second reading? Approve second reading?
How about approve second reading?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you
for
so
all
much.
your help.
Awesome. Any discussion on second reading? If none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Looking for a motion for third reading. Councillor Cermak.
That council consider granting third reading to bylaw 1169-23 for land use amendment application number 21-23.
Grant, you bet. So granting third reading from Councillor Cermak, motion. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. So moving along in the agenda before our 10 p.m. Public hearing, can we move on to 7.1? Okay, so 7.1 is the Clean Energy Improvement Program. And looking across the way, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hagan.
Thank you, Reeve Swanson. Good morning, council. At the June 13th, 2023 regular council meeting, the following resolution was passed. Motion by Councillor Neil Ratcliffe, the council directs administration to research the costs and benefits to the taxpayers of implementing a bylaw for a clean energy improvement program, or a CEIP, in Clearwater County. The investigation should include feedback from municipalities that have implemented this program, and that motion was carried. The Clean Energy Improvement Program, or CEIP, is currently administered through the Alberta Municipal Services Corporation, AMSC, which is a subsidiary of Alberta Municipalities. The program was previously administered by Energy Efficiency Alberta prior to 2020, when responsibility passed to the Municipal Climate Action Centre. In 2021, responsibility for the program administration was assumed by AMSC. The CEIP offers residential and/or commercial property owners an opportunity to finance clean energy upgrades and improve energy efficiency with repayments added to the property tax bills. This form of financing is also known as Property Assessed Clean Energy, or PACE, and has been offered by various municipalities across Canada. For residential properties, eligible funding is between $3,000 and $50,000 unless a municipality chooses to reduce the maximum. There are currently 14 municipalities in Alberta offering the program for residential properties. For commercial properties, the eligible funding is between $3,000 and $1 million unless the municipality chooses to reduce the maximum. Only Edmonton currently offers the program for commercial properties. Prior to implementing a clean energy improvement program, a participating municipality must first pass a bylaw as per section 390.3 of the MGA. Public hearing is required prior to the second reading of such a bylaw. Once the bylaw is passed, an agreement must be signed between the municipality and AMSC, the program administrator. Amounts borrowed are attached to the property rather than the borrower and are repayable to the municipality over the estimated useful life of the upgrade. If a property is sold, the remaining unpaid balance of the loan transfers to the new owner unless the purchaser negotiates early payment by the seller as a condition of the sale. The municipality is required to develop program terms and conditions, post these on its website. Procedures would also need to be established to determine the creditworthiness of applicants and ensure property tax balances are up to date prior to the approval. The process is as follows. Step 1, the municipality passes a clean energy improvement tax bylaw, secures the capital required to finance the eligible projects. Once the program is on the market, property owners install eligible upgrades. Alberta Municipalities verifies the project is complete. Property owners have 6 months to complete the project. Step 3, once verified, the municipality transfers funds to Alberta Municipalities to pay qualified contractors for completed work. Step 4, property owners repay the municipality for the cost of the project through a charge on the regular property tax bill. This charge takes the form of an annual CEIP tax against the related tax roll as per the CEIP tax bylaw. This amount cannot exceed the annual amount of property taxes and is applied toward the principal and interest payments on the amounts borrowed by the municipality. So as requested in the original motion and resolution, the costs that we've identified related to such a program: firstly, management fees are payable by the municipality to AMSC, and grants may be available through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, or FCM, to offset these costs, but that's not certain. Any required property tax or accounting system program modifications to accommodate this program, staff time to draft the bylaw, related program terms and conditions, staff time to draft procedures to manage the program, staff time to add borrowed amounts to the respective tax roll, calculate annual payments, and collect repayments, staff time to revise tax notices and certificates, staff time to track and report outstanding loan balances, potential additional effort to collect any outstanding balances, and possibility of negativity towards the county by purchasers inheriting repayment obligations upon purchasing property. Any incremental borrowing costs attributing to the municipality should interest rates increase after loan agreements have been negotiated with property owners. And this is a key point. When this program was first started a number of years ago, there was a borrowing facility in place, the Alberta Financial Services Corporation, and debenture borrowing was allowed in order to fund this program. Since the Alberta government deleted that organization and moved the borrowing borrowing facility over to Alberta Treasury, this is no longer eligible, this program, for debenture funding. And so that would force the municipality to look for other avenues to borrow the money from, which may likely be on variable rate interest terms, which could change. So it could pose a risk to the municipality financially in that if interest rates rise after an agreement is signed with a property owner, that municipality is going to bear the additional cost of that interest. Now, by the same token, if interest rates were to come down, the municipality could benefit, but quite frankly, that's speculation at this point. In terms of benefits, it's an opportunity for property owners to access the funds with favorable repayment terms, ability to improve the energy efficiency of homes or businesses with no upfront cost to the property owners, could result in a positive reflection on the county for making such funds available. And property owners who choose to make improvements could help reduce greenhouse gas emissions, create jobs, stimulate local economies, and save money on their energy bills. So we had discussion with one municipality who currently provides the program to residential property owners. And while the recipients generally seem satisfied with the program, the staff that we talked to expressed concerns with the amount of time required to administer the program, as well as the exposure of the municipality to financial risk, as I discussed earlier. Participation in the program by a municipality is optional. There's no requirement under the Municipal Government Act to provide such a service. Taking on this program would result in exposure to risk of non-payment of tax balances. It would increase, as would county service level, municipal debt, and administrative costs.
Thank you. I'll now open up the floor for discussion. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. Can you give us some examples that qualify under this? Like what are some some ways that your home could be improved?
Certainly. You could look at, and I believe there is a list published on the provincial website of qualifying items, but it would be things like improving the insulation in a home, replacing windows, doors, perhaps the HVAC systems, the heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems of the homes to more modern, more energy efficient uses. So although it refers to the term of clean energy, it really, in its essence, is more about energy efficiency and reducing energy usage.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ratcliffe.
Yes, I think solar panels were added to that list recently as well.
You're correct, yes.
How would a potential home purchaser know that this loan was on their property? Like it doesn't sound like it's registered on title. So unless they really did their research, they might not know.
Yeah, and we would have to confirm that. That would be the best way to have that notable. And we would want to make sure that the lawyers involved were aware of that. We wouldn't want it to be a surprise to a purchaser that they were also inheriting this loan on the property over and above their property tax commitment.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Follow-up?
Okay, follow-up, yes.
You bet.
On the weekend, I met some people who had done some upgrades on their home with this Greener Homes Canada program, and that there was actually a $5,000 or so grant with it, and it looked like a different process. Are the two programs comparable?
Go ahead, Mr. Hayden.
The Greener Homes Canada program is offered by the federal government. I did take a look at that. It offers either a grant or a loan or both to homeowners or businesses as well. And it's very similar in nature in terms of improving energy efficiency or moving towards cleaner energy production. But there's absolutely no mention of how it either fits or contradicts with any provincial programs, nor is there any information on the provincial websites as to any contradiction with this program. So more research would have to be done to see if homeowners are eligible for both programs or not. but there's been no indication that I can see for the provincial government as to changing or eliminating the CEIP program.
Okay.
May I go on?
Can I, is it in continuous? Go ahead. Absolutely.
No, I'm just thinking that, as there are other programs with similar benefits, that it, wouldn't make sense for the county to duplicate any of that. But I would make a motion that the county implement a bylaw for a clean energy improvement program.
Okay. Councillor Ratcliffe has made a motion to implement the clean energy specifically the clean energy as presented here. Okay. Okay. I have a question in regards, you mentioned that the payment can be no more than the taxes that are that are charged or that on the tax roll. What is our average tax roll? I would like to know what that residential average tax roll payment would look like, because that would be the maximum of what this program could charge. Mr. Hand?
So that varies greatly depending on the assessed value of the property, of course. So if you have a lower valued home that is sitting on 2 acres, would be quite a difference between a higher end valued home sitting on 80 acres. So the average just really isn't
Applicable?
No, it's like we could give you an average, but it wouldn't really mean anything.
No, that's fair. I'm looking at that repayment value, and I'm wondering if it's worth it over a 20, because I would imagine like the higher that cost is, the longer it's gonna take to recoup on, depending on what is done with what the homeowner or the resident does with this particular program. Go ahead, Mr. Han.
I'm not sure if there is a timeline range that it has to be repaid in. But yeah, if the property taxes are only $1,200 a year, that's all that would be allowed to be charged to that. I guess in looking at this program, why would someone go for this rather than going through a bank loan to upgrade their house? So, there would be, what's the differences there? Because there are options to borrow money to upgrade your home outside of putting it through your property taxes. So.
Right. Thank you. I think Councillor Lougheed was first.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, looking at this program, I see it being, definitely there's a flavor of urban type eligibility here. I guess what I'm looking at and recognizing that Clearwater County is largely a rural land use, agriculture land use. Our commercial activity tends to be agriculture based, and we have the option there for sizable funding for those commercial entities. Unfortunately, I don't think it really fits with agriculture because much of those agriculture facilities are not assessed at a market value. So although it's a commercial activity, it's not assessed, and it really wouldn't qualify because the assessment level is very low compared to the loan value. So I don't know if it's a good fit here. I also have, I'll just say it this way, I have also concerns with it being administered by Alberta municipalities. That is definitely an urban-focused organization. It'd be great if our Rural Municipality Association was involved in this too. I'd feel a little more confident that it'd be a good fit for our community. But I'll start with that question or that comment, and then maybe I have some more.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Graham.
I guess for me, I've kind of had the same perspective of this the whole way along, and it hasn't really changed. As Mr. Han mentioned, there are other avenues to get loans to do home improvements, and for me, I have different priorities for our municipality, so this isn't a service level that I envision. So while I really appreciate Councillor Radcliffe bringing this forward, I will not be supporting the motion.
Thank you. Deputy Reeve Bellhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. Is there a comparable rural municipality that is running this program? Like, is Rocky View or Yellowhead or Mountain View, like, do we know, is there any of our rural partners that are doing this?
Mr. Hagan.
I don't have that information readily available. Suggest if you continue your conversation, I can look that up and answer you in a few minutes.
Sounds good. Can it,
Yes,
that's
supplementary.
With the Greener Homes Canada, is there an opportunity for us to work with our residents to help them work through that process, considering it is different than the CEIP? I always want to do CEIP program, because then there would be granting available for them as well. Like, they could do the balance on through a bank or a home improvement loan, but still be eligible or work through a granting process, or we can do some type of a explanation even on our website or a link or something of how people can access that federal granting money and how they can use like a bank loan to help them do that. Is there an opportunity for us to help people through that process so we still get the benefit?
Mr. Hagan.
I would suggest absolutely we can add a link onto our webpage and or to our website and have them connect over to that, and that would facilitate that as well. I think that's an excellent suggestion.
Thank you. Mr. Northcott, Councillor Northcott.
Alrighty. No, the awareness is great. I think many residents in today's world with high inflation, high cost of living, I think many people are already trying to find efficiencies in their homes and many other areas of their lives. I don't think I'll be supporting this. It's a program that could really put a burden onto all residents of Clearwater County. The awareness is great, but I don't think I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Councillor Loughy.
I guess, yes, my question kind of relates to the complexity of administering this program, and I noticed that one section here said the amounts borrowed are attached to the property and are repayable to the municipality over the estimated useful life of the upgrade. Now that might, in my view, might cause a whole lot of questions of how long the useful life of an upgrade is. If it's solar panels, probably there's some industry thing to do that, but what about doors and windows and insulation or whatever else might come into play in making a more energy efficient house? And I know our community is very clever on using all the funding that's available to them. This could be problematic and could create quite a bit of time. Is there any kind of estimate of the amount? Because this is kind of an open-ended thing. How many people are going to take in the program and how we're going to adapt staff time to be able to administer this, and then ultimately there's probably always an odd person that defaults on payment. It becomes problematic. So I'm just kind of getting an estimate of perhaps how many more staff we need to have on board to administer a program with moderate uptake.
Thank you, Mr. Hagan.
Absolutely, and I don't have an estimate for you, Council, today on how much it would take in terms of additional staff. I think we would have to experience implementation of the program, look at what the uptake is and so forth. Absolutely, it's going to be a decrease in productivity because our existing staff are going to have to take on additional duties in order to manage this program. So it could mean some time delays in other functions that we're currently performing. If that hit a tipping point where we felt that it was slowing things down too much, we'd absolutely be looking for additional resources. So at this time, I don't know, but it would all depend on the uptake and how labor intensive these tracking processes are going to be, and our system changes and form changes and so forth.
Thank you. I just want to make one comment in regards that this is, thank you for the balanced presentation, like the benefits, the feedback with this. I think that's really important that we understand all concepts of this particular item. My head was going as far as doors and windows. I mean, they're not 100% fail-safe either. Like if you go into this program and all of a sudden, boy, your seal leaves on your window 2 years in, like who's going to be responsible for that? Yeah, I mean, there is a moderate amount of guarantee, I would assume, on these, but at the end of the day, or a bad hailstorm or whatever else, I mean, what's gonna be covered and what's not, there's too many what-ifs for my comfort level, but, so, again, I like the awareness, I just feel like this is not a program, I agree with Councillor Graham, this is a service level that I'm not ready to fulfill in this particular term. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I think you said the perfect thing, not ready. I don't think this is a no, like, this not right now. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for this once we learn a lot more. In particular, as we learn more about building energy in place. Like the fact that solar panels was added to this program. I think we need to see how this evolves, particularly on the rural landscape. That doesn't mean we can't implement this in the future. I just think that right now may not be the best time for Clearwater County to jump in with both feet. I see tons of value in this. I would also like us to learn a little bit more about and watch this roll out in other rural communities, particularly with how solar is rolling out with this program, because building energy in place, I think, is the key to this particular program. And I think that's the key to solar, honestly, like produce the energy where it's actually used. That's a whole other philosophical conversation we can have at a later date. But I would love us to look into this some more as we learn more about it, and see if it does have value in Clearwater County. But for me, it's just a not right now. Yeah.
Councillor Lougheed?
I certainly agree with what was just said. I think there's benefits to having a program, something like this at some point in time. I think the complexity, though, of trying to administer a program that hasn't been fully proven out in rural Alberta might be problematic. Definitely, I can see the benefit to the community. I just don't think I can support that increase in the service level at this time, so I won't be voting in favor of the resolution before us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the great discussion, Council. I think this has been great to have this discussion at this point in time. And yes, having something come forward that, we can watch this particular avenue or where progress could happen. I'll go to Mr. Hagan.
I agree with you, Reeve, and with Councillor Melhoff's suggestion. I think time would favor the municipality in that we can assess how the uptake continues to be on this program, and other municipalities continue to talk to them and in terms of their successes and challenges. As well, we can see how the Greener Homes initiative will ultimately fit with this sort of a program. If I may answer Councillor Melhoff's other question, listing of the municipalities that have currently implemented related bylaws and this program, it's predominantly urban. I see 2 rural municipalities here, Sturgeon County and Strathcona County, and those are the only rurals at this time.
Thank you.
Pretty urban rural.
Oh, yeah, urban rural, exactly, right next to the Edmonton.
Say that,
Yeah,
urban rural.
urban rural. There you go. All right, we have a motion on the floor that council implement the bylaw for clean energy improvement program for Clearwater County. I will call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. And then we'll take a quick 5-minute break. Sorry. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I would like to motion that staff include information on the Greener Homes grant on our website to give the opportunity for our residents to learn more about that federal initiative.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Councillor.
I know you indicated that the motion was carried, but I believe it was defeated.
Defeated. Thank you
Sorry.
for that correction.
Just for clarity.
Just for clarity, thank you. Councillor Graham?
I guess for me, the motion that was just made, I feel that if people are looking into this, they'll find it anyways, so I'm just not, I'm gonna be voting against this just for the sake of staff time.
Okay, thank you. All right, motion to add this to, add the Greener program link to our website. All those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, carried, 5-2. All right, we'll take a quick 5-minute break and we'll be back with our next public hearing. Welcome back, and thank you for your patience. We are now going to item 4.3 of the agenda, public hearing bylaw number 1170/23. I'll turn it over to Ms. Gillum. Oh, sorry. I guess it's mine. I start the, I was thinking of deliberations already, sorry. So I'll call the public meeting to order at 10:11. Outline the process once again. Everyone present shall register. All persons wishing to speak shall be recognized by the chair. Every presenter, when told it's their turn, shall identify themselves and their organization and whether they are in favor or opposed of the bylaw. If a presenter becomes repetitive, they may be limited by the chair. If a presenter or member of the audience becomes disrespectful, they may be asked to leave by the chair. No outside recording devices will be permitted. We ask that cell phones be turned off or put on silent. Breaks within the hearing will be called at the chairman's discretion. First, I'll ask the development officer to explain the background of the application. Then the applicant will be invited to outline the reasons for the application. At any time, council members may have the opportunity to ask questions. Any submissions received from other agencies will be read out, and then anyone present whom is in favor of the application will be asked to submit their presentation. Following this, comments will be requested for anyone who is opposed to the application, and the applicant will have the last word and respond to any issues previously raised. So to start off, Manager of Planning and Development, Ms. Gillum, will outline the background information, please, to the application.
Thank you. Good morning. Clearwater County recently purchased Plan 4142AS Block 1, Lots 3 and 4, containing 362.5 square meters each for a total of 725 square meters or 0.18 acres of land. And the subject lands are currently designated Hamlet Commercial. The subject properties are located within the hamlet of Leslieville, and Clearwater County Public Works Infrastructure has made application to redesignate the existing parcels from Hamlet Commercial to Hamlet Residential. The existing parcels are bare, undeveloped land. Access to the parcel is obtained from 3rd Street and adjacent to the east property boundary. The applicants, being Clearwater County Public Works Infrastructure, are proposing to amend the land use bylaw to allow the development of a public open space within the hamlet of Leslieville and for the construction of a playground. Surrounding land uses in the area are mainly Hamlet Commercial and Hamlet Residential. The attached package provides more detail on the proposed development. So I've included a variety of policies from the municipal development plan regarding hamlets. So to encourage development within and around the hamlets that is complementary to the function and character, and focus infrastructure development and expansion within hamlets as a means to revitalize existing communities. And there's some general policies there and for redesignation and subdivision and development. And then within the land use bylaw, the purpose of the Hamlet Residential District is to permit and regulate residential developments within hamlets, and listed discretionary uses within that district are park and or public open space and playground or other outdoor recreation uses. And then I've included a variety of policies from the Leslieville Area Structure Plan regarding development within the hamlet, and hamlet commercial policies, hamlet recreation policies, and institutional policies, and parks and open space. So for policy considerations, the redesignation of the proposed land is to allow for the development of a public park and playground. There's legal and physical access to the existing parcel via 3rd Street. The proposed plan conforms to the discretionary uses listed in the land use bylaw for the Hamlet Residential District. The proposal complies with MDP Policy 9.2.1 in that it will enhance the amenity and livability of the hamlet. Although the proposal does not fully comply with the Leslieville Area Structure Plan, the intent is met. During the ASP process, land was mapped directly north of these lots for parks and open space, and Clearwater County Public Works has worked to acquire the subject lands for the proposed use. Section 3.49C of the Leslieville ASP indicates that the current and future land uses within Leslieville should include public buildings and services to ensure a variety of services are offered to the community. Staff reviewed and considered the impacts on adjacent Hamlet commercial and Hamlet residential lots and feel that the development of this nature would only enhance the nature of the hamlet and create a central area for community connection. So at the regular council meeting held on October 10th, 2023, council reviewed and gave first reading to Bylaw 117023. As required by legislation, notice of today's public hearing was advertised in the local newspapers and comments were invited from adjacent landowners and referral agencies. Upon consideration of the representations made at the public hearing, council will consider whether or not to grant second and third readings to the bylaw.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for the development officer at this point? Seeing none, do you have any comments received from referral agencies, please?
Okay, I do have some here. So TELUS Communications has no objection. AltaLink has no facilities in the area. Blue Mountain Power does not have services in this area. Alberta Health Services, the aforementioned application has been received by this office and we are satisfied that the application poses a minimal risk to public health. Public Works Infrastructure has no objection. Public Works Operations has no comments or concerns. Alberta Transportation commented, they have the following comments: pursuant to section 618 of the MGA, the department expects the municipality will comply with applicable items related to provincial highways. 618.41 of the MGA, the department expects that the municipality will mitigate the impacts of traffic generated by developments approved. And please be advised that Transportation and Economic Corridors has no objection to this proposal. The Municipal Planning Commission reviewed the application on October 11th, 2023. MPC recommends that council favorably consider granting second and third readings to the land use amendment application number 2223. The MPC provided the following reasons for their decision. The proposal is for a playground and is a good addition to the community, and the MPC is in support of council's efforts to add amenities to the neighborhood. And that is all.
Thank you. I'll now invite the applicant to speak to the proposal, to add any comments in support of your request, and respond to any agency comments. Mr. Hanson.
Yes, good morning, Rafe Swanson. Good morning, council. As council is well aware, this is the second property that staff has made a conditional offer on in response to council's request. These additional lots, provides a tremendous opportunity for a recreation amenity as well as a community amenity to be added to, further enhance the hamlet of Leslieville. We've done a lot of investment in the hamlets of Nordegg and Condor recently. This is really a positive influence to see, something to happen in Leslieville. We've added, in the next week, I guess it'll be, you'll see in budget there, we've added $200,000 for the development of this amenity. That'll be activated post a visioning exercise that Ag and Community Services will be doing with the community, if approved in budget, of course. So I guess one good news update is we completed the phase 1 environmental assessment. Really no surprises. The only item that was identified was, of course, is the risk that was associated with the above ground tanks. Knowing that those above ground tanks were there was no reported spills or leaks, but that was identified as a risk. But like I said, we knew going into this process that was an existing feature there, and little of no concern. So yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, thank you. I would like to, I would invite any applications that were, anyone, member of the public wishing to speak in favor of the application? Seeing none here. Were there any written submissions in favor of the request?
None.
Thank you. Anyone member of the public wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Again, no one here. So were there any written submissions opposing the request?
There were none.
There were none. Thank you. Any final remarks? Mr. Hanson? No? None? Thank you. So I'll close the hearing at 10:20. No motions entertained at this time. And we will move to item 5.3, consideration of second and third readings of the bylaw. Again, Ms. Gillum.
Thank you. So the purpose of bylaw 117023 is to amend Clearwater County's land use bylaw to redesignate a total of 725 square meters or 0.18 acres, being all of the lands within Plan 4142AS, Block 1, Lots 3 and 4, from the Hamlet Commercial to the Hamlet Residential District. Pending the outcome of the land use amendment, the applicants will proceed with the development of the parcel as proposed. And please refer to the documents from the public hearing for further details. So at the regular council meeting held on October 10th, 2023, council reviewed and gave first reading to bylaw 1170-23. And then, of course, we advertised as required by legislation. So upon consideration of the representations made at the public hearing, administration requests the council consider granting second and third readings to bylaw 1170-23.
Thank you. Now open for discussion. Councillor Graham.
Well, I'm just gonna start off with the motion that council grant second reading to bylaw 1170/23 for application number 22/23. I know that for the other parcels, there was a gentleman very opposed to them, and after speaking to him, he has withdrawn that opposition. So it's gives me good peace of mind knowing that the businesses right there are supporting this. I think this is gonna be great for the mom and kid play groups that happen in Leslieville. It's gonna be great for the people within and around Leslieville and the people within Withrow. It's a nice short drive for people with little kids because it's gonna be a little playground, I think, depending on what the community wants. I think it'll be great for people traveling too. They're gonna come there and stop to let their kids run around a bit, and they'll go and support the businesses around it. So I think it'll be wonderful for the businesses in that aspect, and it fits great with the block party that happens in Leslieville and other events that are being put on by the community, just being around the corner from the community center. So I'm very excited about this still, and I hope it happens, I guess.
All right. Thank you for the motion for second reading. Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. Yes, I have to agree. This is an amenity that will improve the quality of life in Leslieville and around Leslieville, and will hopefully spur some growth, some extra development in that community by making it more attractive. So I will be supporting this motion.
Thank you. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I echo everything that you guys have said. I've been very excited about this project right from the beginning as well. Had the opportunity to speak with many of those business owners within the last couple of weeks with the different craft fairs and stuff that's happening in the Leslieville community right now. And I will absolutely be supporting this enthusiastically.
All right. Second reading is now on the floor. I will call the question. All those in favor, second reading? Carried. Motion for third. Councillor Lougheed.
I would be pleased to motion for third reading.
Thank you so much. Motion for third reading on the floor. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, Councillor Graham.
I just wanted to thank our administration for bringing this idea forward and making this happen. I forgot to say it before, so thank you guys.
Agreed. Thank you so much. All right, 5.4 is consideration of second and third readings for bylaw 1153/23. Ms. Gillum?
Yes, I will be presenting this on behalf of Dustin as he is not here today. So, Terratima Resorts currently holds title to Plan 2120254, Block 1, Lot 6, being part of the Northeast 2437 of 8, west of the 5th, containing 153.21 acres of land. The subject land is mainly agricultural, with the southern portion of the quarter section designated recreation facility. The subject property is located approximately 11 miles southwest of the town of Rocky Mountain House. Accelerated Surveys on behalf of the landowner has made application to redesignate 5 acres located in the east central portion of the quarter section from the Ag District to the Country Residential Agriculture District. Approximately 119 acres of the quarter section would remain in the Ag, and 27 acres would remain in the Recreation Facility District. Pending the outcome of the land use amendment, the applicants will then proceed with the subdivision application process to create separate title to the 5-acre CRA parcel. And the proposed 5-acre parcel contains a residence, barn, and a few ancillary buildings. Access to the proposed parcel is existing and is off of Range Road 8-0, adjacent to the east property boundary. And access to the remainder of the quarter section can be obtained from 8-0 as well, and 37-4 adjacent to the north property boundary. The applicant is proposing to amend the land use bylaw to allow the landowners to subdivide off the existing developed yard site. This will allow the landowners to sell the remainder of the quarter section containing Terratima Resorts separately from the existing residential yard site. The landowners anticipate that the resort property will be more appealing to the potential purchasers without the residential site. The proposed acreage is currently its own separate title. However, approval has recently been issued to consolidate the parcel back into the quarter so that the first residential parcel out of the quarter can be moved to the northeast corner of the quarter section. A condition of that boundary adjustment approval is to consolidate this existing parcel back into the quarter. Therefore, this application is for the creation of the third title out of the quarter section. Surrounding land uses in the area are mainly agricultural, with a few residential and recreation parcels surrounding the property. The attached package provides some more detail on that if we have any questions. And then we've included a variety of policies in here from the MDP regarding subdivision and development on agricultural land and general conditions. Just gonna breeze through, and locations of parcels as well. A lot of policy here. So yeah, the general purpose of the CRA district is for residential use and with minor agricultural pursuits. And then, yeah. So policy considerations, the redesignation of the proposed land is to allow for the subdivision of an existing yard site so that the landowners can sell the acreage and remainder of the property separately. Access to the property is via Range Road 8-0, adjacent to the east property boundary. Staff reviewed and considered the impacts on adjacent farming activities and do not anticipate that the proposal would negatively impact existing farm operations in the area, as the proposed parcel will continue to be used for residential purposes. Should the proposed land use amendment and subsequent subdivision be approved, the parcel would be considered the third title out of the quarter section and would align with MDP policy 10.2.2. So the recommendation at the regular council meeting held on June 13th, 2023, council reviewed and gave first reading to bylaw 1153-23. As required by legislation, a public hearing was held on July 25th, 2023. Upon consideration of the representations made at the public hearing, council decided to table the approval of second and third reading until all the land use in conjunction with Terratima Resorts was redesignated to the appropriate land use designation. There was a resolution motion by Councillor Michelle Swanson, now Reeve, that council tables second reading of the bylaw from A to CRA. So at the regular council meeting held on November 14th, 2023, council reviewed and gave second and third reading to bylaw 1166-23, redesignating an additional 12 acres of Plan 2120254, Block 1, Lot 6, from ag to recreation facility to legalized buildings and uses in conjunction with Terratima Resorts. So it would now be appropriate for council to consider granting second and third readings to bylaw 1153-23. Thank you.
Thank you. I do believe we've seen this agenda item from this particular applicant or on different
Versions of it many times, yes.
Yes, exactly. So any discussion in regards to this particular, we should lift this from the floor first, correct? Because it was tabled? Okay.
Postponed item, I would move to lift it to the table.
Thank you. All those in favor? Carried. All right, into the discussion now in regards to this particular subdivision. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. Does the existing Terratima site have a residence as well? Because this would then be the residential property for that property. And then the rest of the land is not all RF, it is ag. Who would be running the rest of the ag land that is not being operated by Terratima?
Ms. Gillum?
Yeah, so even if the remainder of the land is agricultural, doesn't mean that it can't just remain as the treed land that it is under agricultural. And then obviously the owner of the remainder of the quarter section would be operating the RF and the ag portion of the property. Yeah, how that ag portion is used, obviously it's heavily treed and likely would remain that way. So it would just remain under the ag zoning with limited use likely, unless the new purchasers wanted to do something different.
Okay, supplementary?
Yes.
So the remaining lands are not actually being used for the agricultural purpose in which they are zoned for?
I guess that's a bit tricky question because, you know, the majority of the land in Clearwater County is zoned agricultural. That is kind of the auto zoning for any piece of property that is titled land within Clearwater County. Whether the land is used for farming or an agricultural use is, you know, in a lot of areas, that's not the case. I don't know if there's, you know, maybe a process through the land use bylaw where council wishes to have two different types of zonings where ag land, there's portions of ag land that are heavily treated that aren't farmed, and used differently. I'm not sure, but, I mean, I suppose the land may be able to be grazed, but that's just the standard zoning for properties within Clearwater County that, haven't had other uses on them.
Yeah, it's just the default, right?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Counselor Lougheed?
I was under the impression that a woodlot is approved use in agricultural rated land, so farmers can sell wood products or whatever from whatever grows on their land. Just
Yeah.
the same as any other crop, I guess?
Yeah, that would be kind of like farming of the wood on the property, but I mean, just leaving it remaining as is, basically as natural land, kind of fits under that. It's just, it is what it is, like a natural use of the property, essentially.
I would observe too that there's, looking at the soil classification, it's sitting there at a 9, so we approved a 9 value soil classification this morning already, so, to me, it's up to the new owners or the previous owners to, again, as Councillor Lougheed has suggested, it could be wood, it could be, some animals, it's there for the taking, so. Anyway, I'm looking for a motion for second reading, but I'll go to Councillor Ratcliffe first.
Thank you, Reeve. Would a new owner of this property be entitled to build another residence?
I would say yes. To be honest, I'm not super familiar with all of the buildings on the property because Dustin's been heavily involved in this application. But under the ag district, they would be allowed to have a residence on the property outside of, like, if these parcels were taken off, so they would be permitted to possibly add a residence to the quarter section on the ag portion.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you can have a supplementary.
Actually, I was going to make a motion that council grant second reading to bylaw 1153/23.
Thank you. I believe it is a gem in our county, so for me, I will be supporting second and third reading because it is an opportunity to continue on with this particular resort. I think it is desired. I think if the owners are looking to maybe retire or move on, I think it's an opportunity for someone new to come and continue the business. I think it's a great opportunity for someone that wants to, maybe somebody local or maybe somebody from outside the area. So I would be supporting second reading. Councillor Graham.
I haven't loved this application from the start. I'm very hesitant on it, but I thought that the community would be coming out opposed to it, and that didn't happen. So I guess for that reason, although I don't love the application, I will be supporting second reading, and if it goes to third.
Thank you. All right. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
I agree. I haven't loved this application. However, the applicant did come forward and do the land use amendment to include more of the RF. I also want to be consistent, and this is 5 acres. And it does give more opportunity for somebody to take over Terratima Resorts if that is the true, plans for that resort. It gives more opportunity for them to do that. So I will be supporting second reading here today.
Thank you. All right, second reading has been motioned. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Motion for third reading. Go ahead, Councillor Graham.
I would make a motion that council grants third reading to this bylaw, which is 1153/23, application number 7/23.
Thank you. Any further discussion for third reading? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. All right. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Gill.
I just wanted to jump in really quick. I had a staff member message me because they were following along with council regarding Councillor Northcott's question earlier about the number of applications we've received this year for subdivision. We've had 56 subdivision applications since January. So, and those applications would include the land use amendments for the second titles. So that's first and second titles created for the year.
Thank you very much for that information. Councillor
And
Loggett.
that spurs a question, what would we typically see in years past?
Yeah,
Don't
for
know.
years, it's very, very dependent. We've had some quieter years, but then there's some busier years too, depending on what people want for the first reading. So that might be I mean, that's probably slightly higher than we've had in some years, but yeah, it's a summary that we could maybe look at bringing forward to council as just numbers over the past number of years.
Thank you. All right, moving on into our agenda, we'll move to 6.1, Community Futures, Ag Service Board appointment. And now we'll turn it over to Mr. Martinson.
Good morning, council. We just got an item in front of you today regarding the appointments for the Ag Service Board. There was an oversight by administration when it came to providing information to the Ag Service Board as far as expiring term limits and availability for members to apply for a second term. We've had a discussion with the Ag Service Board on how we might be able to remedy the oversight for a interim period, and at our November 17th meeting, the Ag Service Board passed a resolution that recommends to council to appoint Jim Duncan as an interim member at large to the Agricultural Service Board to a one-year term, ending prior to the 2024 organizational meeting. And so that's, I think, all the background information. We certainly apologize to the Ag Service Board and Council for this oversight, and we can assure both that we've put a process in place to make sure that we can better provide that information and make sure that the best information gets to the Ag Service Board prior to the yearly organizational meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Graham?
Mistakes happen. I don't think this is a big deal. I think we're very fortunate to have Mr. Duncan in our community, and he is such a valuable voice on the Ag Service Board. And so I will happily make the motion that council appoints Jim Duncan as an interim member at large to the Ag Service Board effective immediately and ending October 31st, 2024.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Northcott.
Thank you. Is it a common practice in Clearwater County to just create another position on a board or committee?
Mr. Martinson?
In my experience, I guess in the last 20 years, we've created positions for the Ag Service Board when there's a needed basis. So the last one was a alternate position on the Ag Service Board. I think that was probably done, I don't know exactly when, but definitely within the last 5 years. And I think that was done to address the nature of the members of the Ag Service Board. They farm, and so having the alternate positions helped us meet quorum. We don't always have, we rarely have a full roster, just because you know the nature of those folks is farming and they're busy. So I can't speak to any other board, you know, beyond the Ag Service Board, but it has happened in the past when we need things, we come to council and we ask for them, and council generally provides us the structure and the support that we need. Hope that answers the question. There might be other information I'm not aware of.
Okay, go ahead,
have a couple more
supplementary?
questions.
Yes.
For the cost for this additional position, for remuneration, for the conferences, what's the budget gonna be for this additional created position?
Mr. Martinson?
We don't foresee it to be a large increase in budget because, again, not everybody is typically able to go everywhere, though we do budget for that scenario. So I guess if I had to come up with a number, we expect it to be under $1,000 extra for next year.
That would be for the meetings, conferences,
For the meetings, yeah. Conference is difficult to estimate, but for the meetings, you know, it would be under $1,000.
Okay, well, this, I think I'll
Go ahead.
I know oversight, if you were to take say a class 1 driver, for instance, and they have a heavy load and they're going down the highway and they didn't know the rules or regulations or were unaware of something and had oversight, if they were stopped by the Department of Transportation, they will be held accountable with fines, tickets. It's accountability. So this member does have, previous experience with boards, committees, and council. Fully aware of term lengths. So I think much of the onus actually falls on that individual as well. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. That's my comments. Thanks.
Okay. Well, I can understand, and I will respectfully disagree that, I mean, as councilors, as Mr. Martin's had identified, it's been an oops on their part. And so anyways, I think the communication was not clear, but they've rectified that, and I'm going forward. Understanding their reasonings here for continuing on with appointing Mr. Duncan as an interim member would be a value, I see. I don't see it as a detriment, and I see it as added for the continuality of information and institutional knowledge as identified. So I'll be supporting. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve, and I agree. There'd be a different story if this had been Mr. Duncan's oversight. It was not, in fact, it'd be different if he had served a full term. So he was appointed because I couldn't fulfill the rest of my term because I got elected. So it's not, he was in a partial, he didn't serve a whole term, it was a partial stint. Because if it had been he would know absolutely how long he's supposed to be there if he had been fulfilling a whole term. And had this been his oversight, I would have a different opinion. But this is our oversight, and Mr. Duncan would have absolutely applied to sit on this board, and we could have discussed it at the organizational meeting. Because obviously it would not have been a guarantee for him to be appointed again, but he would have applied, and we would have had the opportunity to appoint him if we had wished to do so. So I will be supporting this motion.
Councillor Lougheed?
Is the ability to look and see when an error has been made and find a solution that allows for that community service to continue, where we've had a long history of that. And just one question. I know that ASB more members, relating to expenses have, the ability to put in for mileage and stuff, but they don't have a cell phone where they would be getting roaming charges or anything like that to add up to, huge amounts.
Mr. Martinson?
That's correct. We don't supply them with computers or cell phones, so the expenses typically for members are just when they show up, which is mileage and remuneration, as far as the regular meetings go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, there's a motion on the floor by Councillor Graham to appoint Mr. Duncan as the interim member at large for the 1 year remaining, 1 year term ending prior to the 2024 organizational meeting. I'll call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, continuing on for our discussion, actually our agenda, we're moving on to the Office of the CAO, 8.1. And that would be to Ms. Haight.
Good morning, council.
Good morning.
Clearwater County was informed that there is a position that will be vacated on the Rocky Mountain House Library Board effective December 5th. So as per the Library Acts, the Library Board is asking that the county make a recommendation for a new member to serve the remaining term, which expires December 31st, 2021. Now, Clearwater County recently advertised in September and first part of October for candidates for to fill expiring terms on the library board. And so it was considered by administration that it would be faster and more economical to use the candidate applications received for that advertisement. And the applicants did agree to let their applications stand for this appointment. So council did receive those applications under separate cover, and it's asked that council consider them during closed session, and then upon returning from closed session, that council make their recommendation for appointment.
All right, thank you so much. So with that, I believe we can go into closed session right now and deliberate and then come back out of closed session. So a motion to go into closed session. Councillor Cermak, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And welcome back. We are out of closed session now. And going back to 8.1, in regards to the appointment to the Rocky Town Council for the appointment of the Rocky Mountain House Municipal Library Board. I'm looking for a motion for the appointment. Councillor Ratcliffe.
I move that council recommends that Deb Skeels is appointed as a trustee with the Town of Rocky Mountain House Council to the Rocky Mountain House Municipal Library Board for a term effective December 5th, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2024.
Thank you. Motion on the floor. Going to call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving down the agenda to 10.1, the CEO report. I'll turn it over to Mr. Emmons.
Thank you, Reeve Swanson. So the November 28th CAO report. The Government of Alberta is currently engaging on possible changes to councillor accountability requirements within the Municipal Government Act and several sections of the Local Authorities Election Act. The MGA provides a legislative framework for supporting councillor accountability once a councillor is elected. This survey focuses on the following: municipal councillor training requirements, allowing a councillor to meet in private, authority to remove a councillor, disclosures by a municipal councillor, including conflicts of interest, disqualification rules for municipal councillors, municipal councillor recall thresholds. The LEA provides the legislative framework for municipal elections in Alberta. This survey focuses on the following: voter eligibility, voter list, political parties, advance voting, runoff elections for chief elected officials. Responses are being accepted until Wednesday, December 6th. The second item, the Community Planning Association of Alberta, CPAA, 2024 annual conference is scheduled for April 29th to May 1st in Red Deer. This conference theme is Beyond Municipal Borders, Collaborating for Vibrant Communities. As per council's policy, should councillors wish to attend this function and not directly related to their annual appointments, a motion would be required for the attendance and remuneration for each council.
Councillor. So in regards to that, I'm reading that those councillors that are appointed to MPC, this is an actual good handhold for them to be going to. So Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
I'd even say yes, do you agree?
Thank you, Reeve. Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to attend with being on MPC and the alternate on the Land Use Bylaw Committee. So I would happily make that motion. But I have a subsequent question. Is there an opportunity for our Municipal Planning Commission members at large to be extended this, especially since it's in Red Deer, it's nice and close. If we can look at the agenda and see if there would be value for our members at large and our members at large on the Land Use Bylaw Committee, if it looks like there's going to be things that will benefit them on that agenda, perhaps is there an opportunity for us to extend it to those people?
Would that be, the agenda's not out, correct? I don't believe the agenda's out. It's just opened up for applications, so. Go ahead, Ms. Haight.
Definitely, that's a possibility. If council could also consider budget adjustment. There's quite a few members at large involved in those boards and committees, so.
There's 2 for Municipal Planning Commission, but Land Use Bylaw Committee has quite a large.
Right.
8.
Right. So yeah, definitely it's an option with budget consideration and possibly budget adjustment for, no, that would fall under 2024 budget.
Is there an opportunity to ask the rest of council what their thoughts are on including, because this conference is I've found it very valuable, but maybe other councillors don't feel the same with our members at large.
Councillor Ratcliffe.
Not really responding to that. Well, maybe I will. Certainly, I think the members at large of MPC would be useful to be involved in this. The cost of the others, I would defer to consensus of council. But I think collaborating for vibrant communities is something that should be high on all of our priority lists. So I would suggest that any councillor who wishes to attend be able to attend this conference.
Thank you. Councillor Graham?
Maybe could we do one from each committee or two from each committee or something? Then it's, the information's brought back to both of the committees but we're not spending, I don't know how much it would be. $15,000, I don't know.
Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Thank you, Reeve. I think that this would probably be better served when we have that information. So perhaps we can get that information on how this will affect our budget line and the agenda, because I agree, the collaborating for a vibrant community, that's really what land use bylaw writing, like you're literally forecasting for the future and trying to actually achieve that when you're building a land use bylaw, or at least that's how I take the land use bylaw rebuild to be. So perhaps we need that type of information so we can make a more educated decision. I do already have a motion on the floor, so I can't make a follow-up motion. Otherwise, I would happily make a motion that we get that type of information.
So, sorry, was it a motion just for council or
Currently, it was the first one that I made was council.
for only council? Okay, so the motion, Deputy Reeve Melhoff, is on the floor, is that to approve authorized attendance and numeration for councillors to attend. All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Follow-up, just before we get it, just for a quick discussion, I would like to see an agenda first. I agree with Councillor Northcott, MPC members at large are great, but because the LUB members only meet, was it 3 times a year or as scheduled, we don't know yet, but it was very minimal. That would it pertain more to the land use bylaw or not? Personally, I would like to see the agenda first, and then go forth after that, but anyways, that's my opinion. Go ahead, Councillor Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. My motion was to direct administration to bring back information on the Community Planning Association conference to include cost and agenda relevancy for our 2 different planning boards for a decision of whether it is relevant for those members to attend.
For the members at large.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So the motion is before. Everybody clear on the motion? Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right. I guess you can continue now, please, Mr. Emmons.
Third item, economic development update. The county's economic development officer participated in the Alberta Sustainable Rural Communities Conference in Camrose, focusing on the role and cooperatives in community development, particularly in the areas as housing investment and business succession planning. The county and Town of Rocky Mountain House EDOs, in collaboration with the Rocky Chamber of Commerce, hosted the David Thompson Country Tourism Business Forum on November 9th. The event attracted 42 attendees, over 30 businesses. Highlights included sharing of business information, educational session on social media, and an update from Travel Alberta on the forthcoming discovery reports for tourism development zones. These reports are expected to be available in December. The EDO, alongside Public Works and Agriculture and Community Services, hosted an information booth at the West Country Stakeholders Meeting in Lesaville. The session covered topics such as road maintenance, fire smart programs, land use bylaw updates, and land care programs. The EDO also attended the Central Alberta Economic Partnership, CAPE, Annual General Meeting in Red Deer. Continuing community involvement, the county partnered with the Town of Rocky Mountain House and the Rocky Chamber of Commerce for the Passport Christmas program. This program encourages local Christmas shopping and features businesses from both the town and county. The EDO remains actively engaged in various initiatives supporting Explore Nordegg, Discover Rocky and David Thompson Country, West Central Stakeholders, and Central Alberta Tourism Alliance and Central Alberta Economic Partnership. The Economic Development Strategy was approved 4 years ago and is due for a review in 2024. This document is available on the county website.
Thank you. Any other questions in regards to the CEO report? Could I get a motion to accept the CEO report as presented? Councillor Graham. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving along to the capital project status update report. Looking at the lengthy but very thorough report. Go ahead, Councillor, or Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I had a question regarding the Leslieville Recreation Area. Looks amazing. I actually took my kids there on the weekend, so it's awesome. I had some feedback that people would like more signage to actually be able to like know that it's there off of 761 or off of the Leslieville East Road, etc. Like I think they have those little like those blue playground this way signs. Is there an opportunity for us to do things like that?
There is. We've actually had an opportunity to take a look at that. Off the Leslieville East Road is unfortunately, because of this, the access to the service road is so close to the intersection of Leslieville East and 761, doesn't allow for reaction time. So our only alternative is just down the actual service road itself to direct people down that way, or on 761 itself, which would require roadside development permit from Alberta Transportation. Like say the proximity to the stop sign to that intersection, it's too tight for additional signage in there. But what we could do, to start with, we could order up the signs and put them on the actual road itself, directing people what's ahead, and see if that helps to go. And if we still get concerns, then we could go to the second step and go through the process of a roadside development permit with transportation.
Supplementary?
Go ahead.
Is there an opportunity for us to start that process on the roadside development as well? I really think that there'll be value to put it on 761 itself. Maybe my team doesn't agree, and I'd happily hear their thoughts, but I truly think that there is value to have it on 761 as well, in some form or another. You guys have done an amazing job with that, and I really would love to direct people to utilize that amenity.
Just an idea that popped in my head. Is there an opportunity to have a bit of I'll say a map? So it's indicating other gems versus having one sign saying playground here. You have a map of maybe the hamlet that says, if you want to go to this recreation or whatever else, that might be more of an all-inclusive, like a 4x8 sheet saying, okay, here's where we have the playground, but we also, because we just approved second and third reading this morning for that other playground that will be across from the businesses and, more of downtown. Maybe that might be a little bit more better, or that might be better in regards of the use of our signage, because we are including not only one amenity, we're including others on that sign. Mr. Emmons?
Definitely, we could add that in during budget deliberations for like a kiosk, I'm hearing.
Yes.
In the corner of the new playground area. My only concern is not to be the negative in the room. Given the school zone and everything on 761, I just can't see us being successful at getting roadside development permit for a playground inside a school zone. I don't know if transportation will entertain that. We could start the process. I just think it would be a costly initiative and we'd get denied, is my fear, which is why I made the alternative suggestion. But if I guess administration would be willing to do whatever. If council wants to make a motion for a roadside development permit for on 761, I can do that, or a motion for a kiosk. We can throw that into budget and bring it back.
Okay. Counselor Graham?
If the signs were to be on our own roads, so like the new pavement, we could put a sign on that road without provincial, or is it too close to the right of way?
Between, I'm thinking the main purpose would be people come down 761 turning onto Lessenville East. And for the distance between that intersection, you have Lundy's approach right there, then our service road. I just think it'd be really tight. We could squeeze something in, try. I just think by the time you turn, it wouldn't be an advantageous warning sign. That's why I thought if we went just at the start of the service road itself, because you're so close to the intersection, you wouldn't be up to speed. It would still meet identifying the amenity.
Could we put a sign in, I don't know if it would be effective or not, but if it was on the school property that was pointing, you know, go this way for the park, would that be, how does that work with the province?
That would be a conversation with school division.
Okay. I would hope they would be open to that conversation with the amount that we help fund for that school, but is that a possibility, or would that have to be an approval from the province as well, because it's still kind of, it goes off of their right of way?
It would.
Okay. Okay.
Deputy Reeve Malhoff?
Thank you, Reeve. I love the idea of like a kiosk and stuff. I just don't know the cost that would be associated with that. Like when you go into communities and they have those signs that are like playground and they have an arrow go this way, and like we could have another one going the other way because we'll hopefully have another community space down the road, and community center because we've got that, and Elks Hall and other community amenities that are within Leslieville. I think that there would be value in doing something like that as well. Fire hall, think this way, or I just don't know how it would all work out. And I don't want to necessarily say, let's go. And then you come back and say, this is going to be $300,000, please. Like, I know this, I know you're not saying that, but I have no idea what the cost for something like that is versus just like even a sandwich board. Here's the park.
Go ahead, Mr. Emmons.
For many years, a kiosk averaged right around $10,000. Over the last couple of years with a 30%, I would propose reasonably you should see a budget of adjustment of about $15,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Ratcliffe?
Oh.
Sorry.
Is there an opportunity to do this virtually as well, so that these amenities are identified? By anybody doing a web search?
Through the app? Through the...
It's on Google Maps.
Is there an opportunity for, to identify this virtually is the question, Mr. Emmons?
You know, I don't know our communications time. I know they have lots of time with land use bylaw and amalgamation, and, you know, we could definitely put this on the list.
On the list. Thank you. Councilor Cermak?
I just wanted to go with, Malhoff. Caroline has the posts with the signs and they're very nice. They're black and white, and they have it at the corners of each street with little signs. They're about this long, about this high, with the arrow. Look very nice. You could certainly talk to the town or the village and see what the cost was.
Okay.
They look really, really nice.
Thank you. Councilor Lahi?
Thank you, Reeve Swanson. I think maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here. This facility is only 20% open right now. When the other 80% comes online, then I think we need to have some directional signage that notify that. Right now, I don't think people are wandering the countryside looking for a playground for their kids. I think it's, you know, the people that know where that is. In the near future, we're hoping to welcome travelers and as that being more of a destination point, that they're going to the soccer pitch or they're going to the ball diamond for a tournament, or, you know, just to use that facility as a destination point. I think at that point of time, it's very important that we have a destination marker for folks.
I would agree, and I would agree that grand opening at such point in time when it is finally completed will help with that advertisement. Maybe not, but keep in mind, to me, it's not a kiosk maybe not be for 2024, but maybe for 2025, it'd be an opportunity for something like that going forward. But great discussion in regards to how are you going to be using that particular area. So, and by the pictures, it looks like there's no snow there, but there is there now. So I'm sure the community is going to be enjoying it, and over the next year. Any more asks in regards to the capital, Deputy Reeve Malhoff?
Thank you, Reeve, and thank you for indulging the conversation, because I just, like I said, I want to put a focus on the wonderful amenity that we've created there, and yeah, you're right, it's not entirely finished yet, so, and I didn't even think about the mapping thing, because that's totally, when I go to a new community, I absolutely type in playground or community area, whatever, and look for it on Google Maps or iMaps or whatever it is, and I don't know the process of what gets you on the map, so hopefully we can figure out how to get it on the map as well. I do have a question with regards to the Ridgeland Estates cistern. When we put that in, does that now no longer give access for to use the stormwater retention pond that's there too? So how does this get filled now? So does this get filled from the stormwater, because that was what was being used before, or does this get filled at the beginning of the season and then emptied at the end of the season, et cetera? How is this actually managed?
My understanding is it gets filled and then it's maintained. So it's circulated to a point and then drained and renewed if needed, but they circulate it to make it last longer so it doesn't just become stagnant.
Okay. It's supplementary. Yep. So what happened with the storm water retention piece? Because I know that was also important for these communities to have some way for that hydrological changes to the environment. They bring the stormwater into a location. Is that not there anymore?
Nope, that's still a requirement. Every development is still required to control the surface drainage so it doesn't negatively impede their neighbor. So it's still functioning as designed. It's just changed to make the fire part of it usable because it wasn't in the past, it was deficient.
All right, thank you.
In regards to the Leslieville wastewater treatment system, I was approached during RMA from the executive director from the Red Deer River Municipal Users Group, and they were maybe asking if they could come and do next July, come and do a tour of it. So anyways, I passed on that information to Magna. So anyways, they are going to do that as a consideration for next July. So I thought that was nice that they've recognized that, and there's an opportunity to show what we've done, and we'll have had another year under our belt there, so we'll be able to speak to that. Are there any more questions in regards to the capital project status report? If not, I will look for a motion to accept for information. Councillor Lougheed, all those in favor? Carried, thank you. We have the Clearwater, 10.3, the Clearwater Regional Fire Rescue Services report for October. Any comments there? Move to accept. Move to accept the Clearwater Regional Fire Service report for October by Deputy Reeve Malhoff. All those in favor? Carried. I'm just going to lump the next three all together. The Sundre, Rocky Mountain House, and Rimbey RCMP quarterly Q2 report for 2023. I believe that's been a busy Q2. Motion to accept for information. Councillor Graham, all those in favor? Carried, thank you. So moving on to Councillor verbal reports. I will look to my left. I'll start with Division 2. Councillor Graham.
All right, I had my Rocky Learning Center orientation. That was wonderful. I got kind of a bonus orientation because some staff members were able to join, so I got some really good insight into the programs that they're doing. I attended the Cape Fall General Meeting, and it was a very wonderful meeting. I really liked something that Tracy Gardner said, which was their family, they have a wonderful family farm, they're a great family, and their kind of motto that they have, and it's, did you show up, did you do what you said you were gonna do, and did you finish what you started? And I thought that was a really good motto to have, especially for a farm, and I really enjoyed that. We also had a presentation from Dave Price, who is part of the founding family of Sunterra. And I mean, I did not sleep that night. I was so excited about that presentation. It was so informative, and his insight into the different planning challenges that their business has faced. And, you know, he mentioned, I think 150,000 head, I assume feedlot farm. I'm not really sure. He didn't really get into specifics that's going into Nebraska for their business because of it was easier to get there, and how they have all these different parts of their business in all these different areas because they've tried to kind of stay local to Alberta from my understanding, but the planning concerns and the businesses and the people in the area didn't want them, so they are now supporting businesses outside of where they're located. And it was a wonderful presentation. Minister Jashin was also there, so we cornered him for a majority of the time that he was there, and we were able to chat with him about our concerns, so that was great. We all had the meeting protocol bylaw workshop. I think we all enjoyed that, and lots of good information in creating that bylaw. We had our first land use bylaw public advisory committee. Deputy Reeve Melhoff and I were there. It was really good. We aren't into the meat and potatoes yet, but we kind of decided, we had discussions about stakeholder meetings and any recommendations for the certain stakeholders that we should be meeting with. And I think it's going to be a great committee. There's so many different perspectives, and the respectful conversation, and people disagree with each other respectfully, and everyone's willing to bring their perspectives forward. So I think that's going to be a wonderful committee. We had the Wild Rose School Division joint meeting. I had to leave early, but I think it went well. I had a lot of questions at it, and it was good. It's really interesting to hear the challenges that they face, and it's unfortunate that they're not more supported by Alberta Health Services for the mental support that students need, because if your brain's not there, you're not learning anything. So hopefully there will be some changes to that from Alberta Health Services. I had a library board meeting. I can't think of anything super exciting to report from that. It was just a normal meeting. I attended the Rocky Mountain House Charity Check Stop. It was one of those events that you just feel really good after you leave, and our community is so generous, and I assume the numbers are going to be released eventually. I know around what we made there, but I don't think that's my place to say, so I look forward to seeing the numbers, and thank you to everyone for their generosity and all the first responders that were there. It was really great to get to kind of know some search and rescuers and the RCMP and everyone that was there. And I attended the Caroline Charity Check Stop as well, and the same thing. I think there was a lot less people in Caroline, but they were bigger sums of donations, I would say. So I look forward to comparing what was received in both of the town and the village. The Parade of Lights, it was wonderful. So many people attended. It was very kind of Minister Nixon and Councillor Gibson to attend, and Mr. Nixon helped us hand out candy canes, which was great. Lots of county residents, lots of staff from the county there. So it was wonderful to see everyone out there and so happy. And Reeve Swanson and I attended the Rocky Museum meeting yesterday, and that was the first one of those that I have attended. So it was good. We discussed the budget, and we'll be discussing that next week, I guess. And it's always interesting going on new boards, learning about how they work and seeing how they function and everything. So that was a good meeting as well. So that concludes my council report.
Thank you. Any questions for Councillor Graham? Go ahead, Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. I assume that the Sunterra presentation gave you some thoughts about opportunities here in our county that were applicable. And if that's the case, I'd look forward to hearing that at some time.
Go ahead, Councilor Graham.
He didn't really get into specifics of the land use planning. He just, I mean, one thing that he cited was they have a, oh goodness, biodigester, and in Ontario, it was approved within weeks. I believe that was the biodigester he was speaking about. And they still, I don't think he said how long, or 2 years into it in Alberta, and it's still not approved. So it's just kind of people streamlining the process, and a lot of the public outcry in places, like they don't want his business there, which I was a little confused about because it is an agricultural business. Like all those places, they were agricultural pursuits. So I don't really understand why the communities didn't want them. But he didn't really get into the planning a lot, but just a lot of, I don't know. I could talk about it all day. Maybe we can talk about it after the meeting if you want.
Were there also ideas of opportunities in agriculture that might apply here?
I don't think anything specifically. The thing that I found really interesting with him was basically, to sum it up, was having the right people for the right job. And that's kind of what I took away from it, but he wasn't bringing up different things for different areas or anything like that.
Thank you.
We were under time constraint that meeting because, and so he was very limited in his speaking time, so, but thank you for the question. Councillor Lougheed.
Sure, and I would certainly add that I think that Sunterra presentation was excellent. It is truly value added for agriculture, and I think I could sense his frustration with all levels of government putting red tape in the way and creating barriers to business, because business really has to work on an effective time frame. They have to strike when the iron's hot, and sometimes the red tape, the rules and regulations really inhibit that kind of activity. So very quickly, just on my activities, happy that council put me back on the Municipal Planning Commission. It's great to serve on that commission. It does very important work and really helps direct the future of our community. So very happy to be back on that as well. The Cape annual general meeting with Minister Dreeshen was a great moment over the last couple of weeks. Always good to get an update there, and then excellent speakers with the people that presented that day. Wildrose School Division, from time to time I understand what the challenges are with Wildrose School Division, but I am very aware of how they appreciate the efforts we've made in the past and how it has made a difference to education and the quality of life within our community. So I hope as a community, as representatives of the community, we can continue to support education and the well-being of our children as we move forward. David Thompson Rec Board, served on that for quite a number of years. The meeting this last time was our Christmas social, and so we did get to spend a bit of time just networking and socializing and understanding where each community wants to go over the next bit of time, as well as sharing a bit of Christmas cheer. And again, the Parade of Lights, I thought it was a great opportunity. We were well represented with the village as well as council and our MLA. It's always nice to have our MLA give us back empty buckets. Tongue in cheek, but we always hope for full buckets from the province, and this time he was helpful to empty our buckets and bring community cheer, so I appreciate his efforts there. And that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lloyd. Any questions? Thank you again. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I made several jokes about the buckets that night as well. At least we were working together on the buckets, right? For those of you watching, they were buckets of candy canes that we all handed out to the community. But no, it was a great evening. I'll just try to hit some of the highlights where the rest of the council wasn't there. Sundry Hospital Futures Gala was excellent. They truly know how to put on an event. I'm hopeful that we can do something like that here. They are fundraising for, I believe they said 16 new beds for the hospital, and numerous other pieces of equipment. They do a lot of fundraising within that community. The best quote of the night was actually by our MLA. It was, "Don't mess with a lady west of 22." Because they know how to get things done. Because Sundre and Rocky Mountain Hospital, actually, they were built because the wives that were left behind during the war felt that there was a big gap. So they fought hard and fundraised hard to get those facilities. And the community is still doing that today. And it was a very good meeting. I had the opportunity to speak with the health minister that night to advocate on behalf of our physicians and the privileges or lack thereof within our hospital. And it was very positive, and we're doing supplementary meetings with her to try to make sure that our physicians get the privileges they need. Attended the Sundre Wellness Committee meeting in Sundre, and they're doing some amazing things down there too, and we're working on finding some collaboration opportunities between our health engagement team and their wellness committee. It's just the same type of committee, different name, and that was really good, and helping them work through how to fix some of the EMS issues, or rather just even get information on EMS so they can advocate, which is great. NSWA, we had a meeting with them, the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, and we're still working on land use bylaw suggestions. We're building stuff to send out to communities for that. They did a big update on the creeks and streams and an update on a bunch of the lakes, and we spent a lot of time discussing the Indigenous relations person that we have an opening on that board for an Indigenous community person, and we haven't had very much luck. So we're looking to try to find other ways to reach out and try to get that representation filled. I was so excited after the Wild Rose School Division meeting, particularly around the dual credit programming, and I truly think that there's an opportunity for Clearwater County to partner with Wild Rose School Division on many dual credit program opportunities like aviation. We have an amazing airport, and we have it in our budget to even build a new terminal. Perhaps there's an opportunity for us to do ground school programming, etc. And our fire service training center is right beside the high school. Perhaps there's a dual credit opportunity to be had there. Cattleman's Day was fabulous. I always love Cattleman's Day, and it was another great one. Thank you to the Ag Department for putting that on. And everything else I did with you guys, so I won't even dig into those ones.
Thank you, Deputy Reeve Melhoff. Any questions for Deputy Reeve Melhoff? No? Okay, moving on, Councillor Northcott.
Alrighty. I attended, actually went to the Caroline Egg Society annual general meeting there last night. One of the big topics of discussion there was the, the possibility of, well, the upgrades that would be needed for that building to meet fire codes in the arena to be able to host larger events. That was the main topic of discussion there. I attended the Parkland Library Board. It was virtual. It was more of introductions and stuff. I hadn't sat on that board before, but there was 42 attendees, or 42 or 43, something like that. FCSS, first time sitting on that board again. It was Councillor Ratcliffe attends that, but again, just to meet the board members was nice. Often a lot of the social programs in society, there's more and more of a demand for more social programs, but often the root causes maybe aren't being addressed. Did a community futures meeting. The triple RF loans, people had received funding from the federal government during COVID. Those loan amounts are due back at the end of the year, but there has been an extension into the January of 2024. They've left unpaid. Those would have a negative effect on people's credit rating. That's about it that's my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Councillor Northcott? Seeing none. Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you. I've been very busy lately in other aspects of the community work that I do. I had the privilege, I guess, yesterday of helping raise the new walls at the Fair Community Hall. So that's an exciting project to see getting off the ground. But I've had to give up some things. I regret I wasn't able to go to the Cape meeting or attend the Parade of Lights on the weekend. As Councillor Northcott mentioned, I was at the FCSS meeting where there had been a small amount of funding added in by the province and by local municipalities, and that was used to top up some of the funding that other agencies had requested. There's never enough to go around, and so this was an opportunity to help those programs continue. The Wild Rose School Division Town meeting here last week was, yeah, it was exciting. The opportunity to create some of these dual credit programs and provide more opportunity for our young people to advance their education or their opportunities in life is great, and an opportunity to collaborate with other organizations, I think, is something we should never pass up. Also last week, I presented on behalf of council a scholarship to a student from St. Dominic's High School. And that is my report.
Thank you, Councillor Ratcliffe. Any questions? Thank you. Councillor Cermak.
I attended most of the meetings that everybody else was with. But the one at Cape that I took the best away from our minister is certainly behind the house pass. I thought that was important. And then I was also at the Wild Rose School Division. I like the idea of all three of us working together, the county, the town, and the Wild Rose, working together and getting things done. It was brought up at that meeting that a year ago we had the same things not dealt with that we're gonna try to deal with this year. I hope that gets some footing and goes ahead. And I also attended the AGM at Caroline Egg. We didn't have a great turnout there. We didn't do an election. There was one of the members that are on the board that was acclaimed. Nobody ran against her. And we are looking at updating. We had, I can't remember the gentleman's name, the engineer that came and took a look at our facility that we could have our bigger event in the arena. That's gonna cost about $305,000 or $10,000 to do some changes to have one event a year. If we wanna have two events, big events in the ice surface, then we have to look at a fire suppressant system in the roof, which he said would be a minimum of $250 to do that, so that we could have more than one event in that facility. So seeing that we don't own the building, the Ag Board, the village owns it, we manage it for the county. I think the county rents it from the village. Is there any way that the village and the county can apply for grants for this? Or is there not? I don't know. It's just something that was brought up in the meeting, and our president is going to have another meeting at the end of January with the people that were there to let them know if there is such a thing as a grant. But as a board, we looked at it, we wanted to take that to the general meeting because it was so much money to invest to have one event that makes about $40,000 for everybody. The $20,000 that we get out of it for the board, we put that towards ice rent to lower it for the people that rent our ice that is living in our community, to keep it viable for them, keep a little bit lower ice. So it'd be nice to have that, But for a $310,000 ticket to make 40, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. That doesn't, to the board, they didn't think that they wanted to make that decision without some community input. So that's where that stands. And that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Cermak. Yeah, you bring a pretty, well, it is actually a perpetual problem with a lot of our buildings. It's not just our public buildings, it's also our halls too, in regards to the new updated safety codes, building codes, et cetera. And I remember when it was happening at the arenas here in town, that was an oversight too in regards to the sprinkler system there. And yeah, big expense for something like that. So will be a great discussion going forward in the community where that goes, and if there's possible grants, that's a great way to look at it. So, any questions for Councillor Cermak? Okay, just quickly, I attended the RMA Zoom in regards to the new Small Community Opportunity Program. It was a quick webinar on that. We were actually the inaugural webinar before we went to AB Munis, and great discussion in regards to these projects. They're locally focused, community-based. Example for support for a community to develop capacity for increased agritourism. Those are the kinds of opportunities this grant is for. They're looking, they won't consider like a part 9. So in other words, where a public and a private are grouping together for a project. It has to be, they're looking more for a community-based to a community organization to apply for these grants. It was really quick. There is a recording. You could go back to the RMA website and watch it and listen to the questions that were asked afterwards. This, like, again, it was our first one, so they were going to have another one on the following Friday, and I didn't get a chance to watch it and look for the questions that were asked then. So it's an application that I believe that's open until mid-January, so that's coming up. Rocky Senior Housing Council had an orientation for a new member, and I also attended as a good review. We have an updated, our home housing management body has an updated from the GOA, so we incorporated that into our orientation. It was good for me to review again, like I said. Cape, yes, Minister Dreeshen talked about the House, how that the government has funded $150,000 to do a feasibility study on the House Pass. It's an updated study since 2005. So that will be interesting coming out of that. We won't expect the report much, I don't think, until Q2. Must say that I agree in regards to the Sunterra Farms, which was started in 1970. So considering they've been around for 53 years and the progress that they've made, not only they started with pork, but now they have 4 different menus, one in Red Deer at the Bauer Place Mall, 2 in Calgary, 1 in Edmonton, and 700 team members that they employ. Their newest adventure has been a greenhouse in Acme, 17.5 acres covered for tomatoes and 2.5 acres of coverage for strawberries. Their intent is not to compete with other growers during the season. It's to be on the off season. And I will say I have bought a package of those strawberries and they are delicious. So very good that way. So highly recommend. So with that, did my counselor drop-in session on the 17th. Had a couple come in one question was in regards to broadband, and the other one was in asking more about the LUB process. I went to Evergreen Hall, their pie auction with MP Soroka. Didn't realize a pie could cost $180, but it did. It was very good. On the 18th, I drove around to the Christmas markets. I will say we have amazing talent in this region. On kudos to all the vendors that have participated and continue to on the regular farmers markets and not only in Caroline but also here in Rocky Mountain House too. That it was fantastic. Wild Rose School Division meeting. What I got out of it was the synergy that in regards to consolidating the schools, that discussion of the elementary schools. I thought that was very being proactive in their lobbying efforts. And also they were looking for help do teacher recruitment. And I think that can be also help through maybe through our Chamber of Commerce and maybe our other agencies that we have to help recruit teachers and in not only to come and live here, but also to invest here as well. That would be great. Senior housing was on the 23rd. We had a government operational review come for 2 days and go through not only the senior housing independent side, but also the lodge. Was very good, just some minor tweaks that needed to be updated. Parade of Lights, yes, very honored to have Minister Nixon along with Deputy Reeve Gibson with us that evening. I think they both enjoyed themselves. I think Minister Nixon has done his steps for the month, but Deputy Reeve Gibson said she enjoyed seeing all the lights. It was the first time she had been in that kind of an event. And as far as the Rocky Museum yesterday, the Rocky Museum has done a substantial fundraising to move a log home onto their property, and that is being redone. And they have been offered Chester Sands barn with full of his mounts and collections. So that will be another fundraiser that'll be coming forward and in 2024. So it'll be great to have that in our local community and on display for all the residents here and for the community of generations that have been before us. So that's all for council reports. If there's no other questions, I'll move the verbal council reports as presented. The motion, Councillor Cermak. All those in favor? Carried. Looking at council remuneration. A motion to Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Yeah, motion to accept remuneration.
Okay, motion to accept remuneration as presented. All in favor? Carried. Correspondence, a letter from Minister Fraser. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. Can somebody like dissect what this whole letter actually means? It was vague at best, disingenuous at worst. I'd love to understand what this actually is representing.
Mr. Emmons?
It's a very polite rejection. My interpretation of this letter we received basically states the federal government has already contributed to the province of Alberta, so therefore the province of Alberta already has their third. It's up to them to distribute it. That's the way I read it, Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you. Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Thank you, Reeve, and thank you, Mr. Emmons. I was being a little tongue-in-cheek. It sounded very much like a rejection. My issue is there's precedents. Like that was not how our last three-way partnership with ourselves, the province, and the federal government went. That seemed to be a whole lot more partnering happening on that particular project. Is there anything else that we can do in order to ensure that this very valuable project that we have committed to funding, the province has committed to funding, the federal government should be committed to funding and isn't? Is there anything else we can do?
Mr. Emmons?
This council's been very active on this file. My suggestion, if this council could continue lobbying the province, they could lobby up to the federal government. And if we could ever get that letter from the province committing, that would be extremely helpful as well. I believe we've really exhausted all avenues here. I really don't know what's left in the tool chest anymore.
Fair enough, thank you.
If I may, I took the opportunity at the Cape meeting when Minister Deschamps was in attendance to kind of relay the letter that Minister Fraser had sent to us. So he is aware of this particular letter, and we have the opportunity to send him an email in regards to this effort that they would like to take to their federal counterparts in the spring. They said that between now and the end of the year was quite busy, but they did have an opportunity to meet with their federal counterparts in the new year. So we have an opportunity to draft something and in return, so at some point in time. Councillor Ratcliffe.
Thank you, Reeve. Chief Emmons, I expect you're much more conversant in this than I am. This Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, that would be a general fund for all of the provinces, would it not? So to me, I'm not sure it's appropriate that that would be where this was directed. You know, where instead of being something directed towards an Aboriginal community.
Mr. Emmons?
Am I mistaken in seeing this disconnect?
No, you're not, Councillor Ratcliffe, and
Okay, that probably,
it's not typical. In the past, we've seen a third, a third, a third. And yes, the federal government allocates out general funds, as the provincial government does to us, our LGFF, and we allocate it out on projects of priority. There is also specific funds for road programs. There's typically dollars identified. This particular road is for a neighboring First Nation community. So, you know, I've always stated that I think it's amazing. You know, there isn't one Clearwater County taxpayer on that road, but it holds a high priority for this council because of our neighbors and the resource traffic that uses it, which speaks very well of our community, I believe. The fact we can't get the federal government to the table when it's that important to a local municipality, and the province of Alberta has verbally stated they're on board, does elude me a little. But you're not incorrect in your statement. This is different than the past.
Go ahead.
thank you. Is there an opportunity to suggest that the town and the Chiefs First Nation work together to try and come up with another third?
Sorry.
We have made it very, we've made it very public that our policy allows for any partner. O'Cheese has been clear that they are a lobbying position. They don't feel it's prudent that they take that on, not their road. The town of Rocky, you know, respectfully, not their road either. It's a Clearwater County road. The town of Rocky has partnered with us in lobbying, and they've supported us in those efforts, but not to a financial perspective, nor I believe we would partner on a road in the town of Rocky either.
Okay, thank you.
Going back to, I'm going to say roll back to, March, April, Cape had indicated that they were going to, they were willing to offer letters of support in regards to this project. So it just needs to be an email to the executive director, and we can, they will put it out to the municipalities of members of Cape to help maybe strengthen our advocacy in regards to the opportunity. It kind of goes a little bit with the House Pass. Like if we're going to be offering this as it's a great segue in offering our Indigenous neighbors an opportunity to participate in a road infrastructure that will bring economic development to their nation as well. So with that. All right, so with that letter, except for correspondence, motion to accept for correspondence, Counselor Ratcliffe?
I will make that motion.
Okay.
That we accept this correspondence for information. I also want to express appreciation for the work that administration has done in trying to help out a neighbor on behalf of council.
Thank you. So motion to accept for information, I'll call the question, all those in favor? Carried. All right, moving to item 12, notices of motion. So, no notice motion. Carrying on to our adjournment. Just again, like to thank council and administration for your time and work and due diligence in presenting the information today. Muchly appreciated. We had a big variety today, so bringing up some new items and then also with our public hearings. So, motion for adjournment. Would you like? Okay, Councillor Northcroft will make the adjournment at 12:09. All those in favor? Thank you so much.